we are discussing about strategic management, strategic formulation process we discussed. In this, the last one is designing structure. What do you mean by organizational structure? You studied in your MPO. Am I right? What do you mean by organizational structure? There are two types of structure you have studied. What is it here? There are many types of structures you studied. You have studied the span of management, a span of control. Have you studied? Span of control means? Yeah. I am asking about span of control. Yes? Single authority. We are talking about unity of command. Anyone? Okay. Coming to this span of controllers, there are two types of span would be there. Tall span and narrow span. Understood? Now okay. Span means how many the subordinates a single manager can control. That is span of control. Right? A manager, how many people a manager can control at a time. That is span of control. Sometimes a manager can control multiple subordinates at a time. Some other time he can control only small, very few subordinates. If he is controlling few subordinates means that will come under tall structure. If he is controlling multiple subordinates means that will come under wide structure. Right? Narrow wide. Narrow means a manager, he is controlling only few subordinates. He is the manager, manager 1. Here he is the supervisor. Under his supervision there are two subordinates. Medium two subordinates. Again two subordinates, again two subordinates. So it is a tall structure, right? So a manager, if he is controlling very few subordinates means that will come under tall structure. Suppose a manager is controlling multiple subordinates. So he is controlling at a time. That will come under wide structure, right? When you can control multiple subordinates, when you can control only few subordinates. Why is so? A company, under him, one manager, under one manager, only 3 subordinates are there. In another division, same divisional manager is there. Under his control, some 7 subordinates are there. Why this deviation? Is it a partiality? No. Then under what condition few subordinates and under what condition multiple subordinates? Yes? Based on the nature of the job. Any example for that? Very good.
If the task is a complicated one, then it will be managed by few number of subordinates. Only then only the manager can
control, or he can involve in the decision making process, right? Suppose that subordinates need some monitoring process or they need some guiding process means a manager he can control only the few subordinates. Suppose my company technically I am not strong. I don't have mic. I don't have any monitoring system. Technically I am not much strong means that time the manager he can control only few subordinates. Suppose technically I am very strong, I am having all multiple technologies means I can control many types of multiple subordinates, right? So ultimately there are 2 types of span of control means a manager at a time how many people he can control this come under span of control. 2 types of structure, write it down, 2 types of structure, tall structure and flat structure. In tall structure a manager can control few subordinates. In tall structure, a manager can control few subordinates, and in flat structure, a manager can control multiple subordinates. Right? So you have to decide, while framing the strategy, you have to decide which structure that particular organization is following, right? Only after deciding about this organization structure, you can think about the strategy. If you are going to implement a strategy within the organization, means you have to think about what structure that organization is following, right? Next is, what is the next one? Over. Next one is, designing structure is over. The next one is conflict, politics and change. Suppose if you are going to implement some change in the organization, we just wanted to implement some change in the organization, what will arise? Definitely conflict will arise, right? Because change is inevitable, but if you are going to make change in the organization, means ultimately all the employees will resist to the change. Because we will be very much comfortable in the comfortable environment. We don't want to change anything in the living environment, right? So if the organization, they are going to implement some change in the organization, means definitely conflict will arise and definitely they will also create politics, right? So this conflict and politics will resist the change. But how we are going to deal with this conflict? How we are going to resolve this conflict? For that also you have to frame the strategy, right? For conflict resolution and to reduce politics also, you have to frame the strategy to implement the change in that organization, right? That is the next one. Finally, designing control systems. What do you mean by control system? The control system should be the measurable control system. I am going to control you. That means it should be in a measurable format only I can control you. Suppose if I am not giving you any deadline, in the target may in the deadline may within this time you have to complete this task and I will may solve it, right? There is no performance appraisal at all in that organization, means you cannot control the organizational people, right? So control system should be in a very meticulous manner. You have to do this control system, right? So control system is the only way through which you can control and you can also appraise the employee's performance, right? Writing about what? Next is designing control system. Next one is feedback. Feedback, that is matching strategy, structure and control. Final one is feedback, right? So you have to get feedback from whom? About the strategies. Where to get feedback? Is it a one-time process? Getting feedback, is it a one-time process? No. It's an ongoing process. Feedback is an ongoing process. Continuously you have to get feedback, so that continuously you have to get feedback so that you can change your policies. If you want to change the policy, or if you want to change the strategy, or if you want to improve yourself, means you have to get the feedback continuously. And this periodical feedback also tells you whether you are going, whether you are traveling towards your goal or not, traveling towards your mission or not, right? With this strategy formulation is over. That is, in this strategy formulation, first we have identified the 3 levels of strategies. Am I right? Just check your notebook. Before identifying 3 levels of strategies, first you have to formulate mission and goals. While formulating mission and goals, before formulating mission and goals, you have to do the environmental analysis. In this environmental analysis, there are two types of that: internal analysis and external analysis. Internal analysis, you are going to do the SWOT analysis, that is strength and weaknesses analysis within the organization. In external analysis, you are going to see the opportunities and threats available in the environment, right? So after doing these analysis, what you are going to do? You are going to make a strategic choice. It can be the strategic choice. You are going to select the strategy among the alternating strategies, right? It can be the cost leadership or differentiation or whatever the strategy be, right? So you have to select which strategy will act to my organization. In our, you have to select the strategy, right? So after selecting the strategy, 3 levels you have to identify. That is, first one is functional level strategies you have to formulate. That is for the departmental level you are going to formulate. After that, you are going to formulate the business level strategies. Business level strategy is SPUs, right? For each SPU, you are going to formulate a separate strategy for each SPUs. After formulating business level strategy, finally, you have to frame the strategy for the entire organization, that is corporate level strategy. While designing the corporate level strategy, who is involved in designing it? It's only top management who is going to develop that corporate level strategy, right? So after that, what will come? What is the next one? Next one is global level strategy. That is, when your organization, when you are going to do your business in the international level, means you have to frame the global strategy also. You have to think about the global competitors. After thinking about global competitors, you have to frame the strategy to suit that particular environment. After global strategy, what will come? Strategy implementation. While implementing the strategy, you have to think about framing the organizational structure. In this organizational structure, you have to think about the span of control. Span of control means there are 2 types of structure would be there in span of control. That is tall structure and flat structure. Tall structure means a manager can control very few employees. In flat structure, a manager can control the multiple employees, means that will come under organizational structure. Next one is conflict, politics and change. While implementing the strategy, definitely you have to change something in the organization. While making changes in the organization, conflict and politics will arise. While to reduce this conflict and politics, again you have to frame some strategies to resolve these conflicts and politics. After this, you have to design the control system for implementing the strategy. While designing control system, you have to think about the getting feedback. You have to get feedback continuously so that you can make changes in your strategy formulation, right? Suppose you are getting the feedback, you are getting very negative feedback about that particular strategy from the customer or from the environment or from the employees, you are getting a negative feedback. Or from your profit analysis, you got that the strategy is not a good strategy. That means again you have to go back to that strategy formulation, that is mission you have to change, then business level strategy, functional level strategy, again you have to change the re-strategic work you have to do, right? With this strategy formulation is over. Fine? Any doubt on this?